What's going on, guys? Chris, the Greek Weeb here, and today I have got another chapter review for Eden's Zero. And first of all, please excuse how I sound. I am a bit congested this morning, so take that as you will. I hope it doesn't bother your experience. But anyway, in the last chapter of Eden Zero, we got a peek into the full-on training of Zenolith and the rest of the Eden Zero crew, on them attempting to use their ether gear while they are bound. However, all of a sudden Zenolith's avatar transformed into Ziggy's. We then see Shiki, under immense stress, manage to break free of his restraints using his ether gear after Ziggy attempted to kill Rebecca in their VR training room. However, this was all a very obvious attempt of tricking Shiki and the others into using their ether gear through immense stress and danger as to help further their success in activating their ether gear. We also get Rebecca and Witch talking about another training regiment right after Zenolith's in the Eden Zero bath, due to the fact that the water on Eden Zero can in fact help boost the power of ether gear, and training in it will actually increase it tenfold. So this was honestly set up for Witch to make Rebecca the Chrono Witch. And honestly, that is what happened in the last chapter. Pretty much what I expected with how the chapter before that ended. But now we're getting into chapter 133 of Eden Zero. Now again, I'm going to have to put an obvious spoiler warning, because I'm not going to lie, if you're watching this and you don't care about spoilers, or you didn't know there was going to be spoilers, click off the video now, I guess. But anyway, let's get on to chapter 133 of Eden Zero, titled Following Ziggy's Path. And this chapter actually starts off with the series narrator, Jalmea, basically recounting the events of the Eden Zero story for the Foresta arc, with the account of Ziggy taking control over all the bots on Foresta, Shiki and the gang meeting Zenolith, the founder of the Magimax School of Gravity Arts, as well as everything going on with Shura and Nero, and Elsie and Justice's confrontation. And we end up getting an overview of the training of the Eden Zero crew as we continue. Now, if you've been a fan, if you've read Eden Zero up to this point, you know that Jalmea is not just the narrator of the story, but an actual character in the story that Shiki and the others have interacted with in one of the earlier arcs of story to try and find Valkyrie, one of the four shining stars. And she has the ability to see the future, but not the overlying events into that future, which she likes unexpected outcomes. So, just felt like sharing that little piece of information. Actually get a couple of pages showing Zenolith training everybody on the Eden Zero crew, whether it be Shiki using his ether gear for his anti-gravity, Wise getting to the use of his ether gear and also working on his marksmanship, Zenolith teaching Homura and actually repeating some lessons that her mentor Valkyrie had told her, like being able to pivot her foot, with Rebecca still struggling to get out of the restraints so she can use her ether gear. We then go back to some of the one-on-one training with Zenolith and Shiki, as he's telling Shiki that he has improved, but it's still not enough. It then goes on to explain again that the gravity is the weight of the heart, and the stronger the heart, the stronger the gravity. But that Shiki also needs inner tranquility to endure that weight. Which means he has to strike a balance between being tranquil and also having a strong heart. Otherwise, his gravity will fall into darkness. And then he goes on to say that the fall to darkness is the fall to Ziggy, which is honestly pretty interesting note. Which is actually a pretty interesting note, considering that Ziggy, at this point, is the main antagonist of the series at this point, and he is the exact opposite. And he has basically fallen to darkness, in all honesty. Especially with how everything has been implied with his revival and his 4 dark stars and the Edens 1. We then get a few brief glimpses of Clean and Jin doing their training, which is honestly just 2 panels since they aren't like the main cast at this point. But we then skip over to, okay, this is honestly a bit of the funniest portion of this chapter. We skip back to Rebecca's training with Witch later that day, as she is also restrained in the bath. And even though they are going to be doing this very frequently, Witch actually ended up inviting a special guest due to the very nature of this training, as Sister actually approaches Um, as Sister approaches Rebecca, saying that she better get out of the restraints quick, otherwise it's going to be X-rated. And okay, honestly, this is something that I expected. This is classic Sister, and this is just hilarious. I just laughed so hard when this moment came on, and oh man. So yeah, so while Rebecca was basically failing in Zenith's training, her training with Witch, and then Sister honestly probably got a bit too R-rated. I can't stop laughing whenever I bring this up. Oh man. Okay, alright, back to being serious now. Because seeing a montage of a training arc is honestly going to be pretty boring, and I'm not gonna lie, the fact that we're going into a new arc and we have to do a 7-day training arc, I would have liked to get another chapter or two, but I feel like we're gonna get more into the training arc in some flashbacks for future fights. Now, one thing I want to get into before moving on is the fact that since Rebecca was still bound during Zenith's training sessions, it goes to show that the rest of the crew, Wise, Homura, Clean, Jin, they managed to get out of their restraints using their ether gear, and Rebecca's the only one that was unable to do it. So it does imply that she is behind everyone else once again, but with Witch and Sister helping her, it does make sense that she will eventually get to it, and the fact that her ether gear will get stronger. We then cut back to the planet of Foresta, where Ziggy is parting ways with the rest of the crew and saying that he'll look after the child that they saved when Foresta was going through the machine virus uprising thing. As everyone begins to say their goodbyes, Zenith says that even though he taught them a couple of things, that they're all still rookies, and he says that they should come and visit him whenever they like, so that they could train a little more. However, Witch ends up changing the topic of the conversation to Ziggy. She asks when Zenith met Ziggy. He says that he met Ziggy over 100 years ago, but he doesn't really remember it. However, the last time he saw Ziggy was about 15 years ago, which was his quest to find Mother. Witch then asks if the three of them, the four shining stars, were with Ziggy at that moment, but Zenith says that he did not see them with him, and that Ziggy was alone. Witch remembers that when they were back at the Red Cave in the previous planet they were on, when they found some of the Mother Ether and the relics to help lead them on their journey, the droid the bot that was guarding it said that when Ziggy arrived, he was himself alone. Sister then repeats what we already know, that 15 years ago they went to Granbell that 15 years ago they left Granbell so that they can go and find Mother with Ziggy. But their memories of everything that happened outside the Sakura Cosmos was erased, leaving no evidence behind. They were supposed to be on a quest for Mother 16 years ago, but when they found Shiki, Ziggy just abandoned that quest and returned home, which wonders if something actually happened, which gave a reason for Ziggy erasing all their memories, or perhaps something else. We don't know what else she's thinking. So we do get a few interactions with like Jin and Laguna with Rebecca's VTuber friend in the Eden Zero galley and cafeteria. So we get a few funny interactions, nothing of note there. But we then cut to the Eden's 1, where Ziggy is going over everything that happened off Resta, saying that despite the virus he placed in Foresta being a failure, it was really nothing to worry about, as Clown of the 4 Dark Stars asks him if he has any resolve to fight his old family, and if it has him shaken. Ziggy says he had lost his memories. He woke up one day, he was building a theme park on Granbell without a care in the world. For a time he searched for Mother, determined to retrieve his memories, but instead he found the baby Shiki, and that he sensed something more precious than his memories, and he decided to raise him. He then goes back and says that was a mistake, saying that after his energy ran out, and he doesn't even know what the cause for that was, he came back to life with all of his memories brought back, including the reason why he was drawn to Shiki in the first place, and why he cannot let him live. He's got work to do to create a world ruled by machines. And then Wizard of the 4 Dark Stars Set asks him what will happen if Shiki tries to prevent that. Ziggy then says that he is a threat not only to the machines, but also to the entire universe, and that he should not be allowed to exist. As he swipes everything away with some static, we see that Ziggy, as he's saying that he has no other words, he has no family, and he is going to be the one to crush the humans. His appearance begins to change as he says, "We will start taking over the Aoi cosmos, and Nero's empire will be his," as we see Ziggy's new form and design. And I have to say, I am really liking Ziggy's new appearance because this really screams Demon Lord. Now, yeah, this fully says Demon Lord. And I am so happy to see Ziggy getting a more menacing design, more fitting of an endgame boss. So, what we learned in this chapter was the fact that it wasn't just the four shining stars that had their memories of their journey outside the Sakura Cosmos erased, but also Ziggy's. And that that things were a bit bizarre when Ziggy was searching for Mother. That for some reason the four shining stars were not with him originally, and that he was drawn to Shiki, but something is up with Shiki where he is a threat to the entire universe. This could also be tied back to the fact that his ether gear is called Satan's Gravity. It's very possible that Shiki himself, if he goes out of control or breaks whatever limits for his ether gear and goes out of control, he could destroy the universe. And we saw when he's in his overdrive state, it is possible for him to create tiny black holes when he condenses gravity too much in a single spot. So it's very possible that if his power would go way out of control, he can create a massive black hole that could spread and destroy the whole universe. I mean, that's where my thoughts go when Ziggy said that. But the thing that really caught my eyes and got me honestly pretty intrigued was the fact that Ziggy had no memories of his time searching for Mother, especially after he brought back Shiki. And not only that, but the four shining stars have no memories of their time outside the Sakura Cosmos, and apparently people that have met Ziggy on his quest for Mother never saw the four shining stars with him. So, was Ziggy alone for all that time? Or were the four shining stars just not in the area of where Ziggy was? Or is it possible that Ziggy built the four shining stars after his journey to find Mother and after he found Shiki? That isn't a very big possibility. All I know is this chapter gave us a bunch of questions that need to be answered, and for all we know, right now Ziggy is the only one that has the answers because apparently his memories are all back. But this also brings up the question of how he was brought back, how he lost all of his energy, and how he is now evil. All these questions I really hope we get answers for at some point. But now with Ziggy seemingly on the warpath and heading to a potential area to have a showdown with Nero's forces in full Demon King attire, we can only assume that things are going to get more intense from there. But yeah, overall that was the Eden Zero Chapter 133. We got some nice bits of training for Rebecca and Shiki and the rest of the Eden Zero crew. And we got to see Ziggy in his full Demon Lord attire, as well as giving us some more questions and possible ideas for what happened to them during their search for Mother originally, and where the story will lead from there. But yeah, that's really all that's left for this chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like the Eden Zero content, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. And this will also let me know if you like these Eden Zero videos so that I can keep doing them. Don't forget to leave a comment down below, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.